Today's wonderful guest is Stacey Ellis Fisher, brand strategist, conversion copywriter, and founder of Clever Copy, which has recently been rebranded to Conversion Copy. Stacey helps experts, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders turn their ideas, expertise, and personal brands into messaging that actually converts without sounding robotic, over-salesy, or inauthentic. In today's conversation, we unpack why so many brilliant women still struggle to communicate their value, the difference between visibility and authority, and how years of conditioning around being likable and humble can impact not only the way we show up online, but also the opportunity and income we attract. Whether you're building a business, creative career, personal brand, or simply learning to own your voice more confidently, thank you for being here again for the Can I Get a Refill podcast. If you're new, I'm Steph. I'm your host, and I help women stop pouring from an empty cup and start building a life that actually supports them. Be sure to jump on the website, www.canigetarefillpodcast.com.au, linked below, to download your free ebook on 7 steps to protect your energy and fill up your cup. Every area of your life, including career and finance, comes back to your relationship with the self. So make sure it's a very strong and healthy one. Download it today and make yourself your number one priority. Okay, now let's jump in. Hello, my cup fillers, and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. As just promised, we are joined by a very special guest today, Stacey Ellis Fisher. Stacey, thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm very delighted to have this conversation. You're a real pro at what you do, but the audience will know I talk about frequently. A year ago, I left the 9 to 5. I'm doing my business. I do sales for my husband's business. So both he and I are delighted to have a chat, for me to have a chat with you today and pick up some tidbits. I'm really excited to talk about you specifically from the female perspective of I was always, for years, I seem very confident and chatty, and I was always like, oh, I'm good at customer service, but not sales. And that was just something that I told myself because I always felt like, oh, I don't want to put people out. I don't want to put them out. But the older I've gotten and the more aligned I am with what I'm selling, the more confident I've gotten with that. So I'm actually really excited to get your perspective on that. And I presume that's something that you hear a lot.
Yes. Yep. I work with a lot of women. I don't know whether it's just because I'm a woman and therefore women feel more comfortable working with me. I work with men too. I don't have a preference, but I do work with a lot of women. And because I am helping them, I'm a conversion copywriter, so I help them so close to the point of sale, it really brings up a lot of that resistance from women, and they say that a lot. I'm not good at sales, and it really is just a mindset thing.
It's a mindset thing. It's something that we've probably been conditioned to hear because we've heard other people say it. Just give your business a little plug. Tell us about your business and when you started that. How long have you been doing that for?
So I have been copywriting my whole career. I did start out in brand and digital marketing, but I really focused in retrained as a conversion copywriter specifically. So that's a conversion copywriter is different to what I used to do back in the day when I worked on big ideas in agencies. It is somebody who is trained in user experience and also copy. And we bring those together and write sales copy specifically. And I write mainly website copy at a business that was called Clever Copy, but I've just rebranded to Conversion Copy.
Oh, I didn't know about the rebrand. Oh, great. Yep. Excellent.
Yep.
I was actually just looking on your Instagram and you posted one of my favorite movie scenes from Bridget Jones's Diary. Mr. Titsperfect, Mr. Titsperfect, Mr. Fitzherbert, because that is his name. I love that. Excuse my randomness, but I just love that scene so much. And before I get into the juicy questions, you had a little offer for my listeners if you want to just let us know what that is.
I did, and your listeners will be the very, very first people to access this. So I would very much encourage them to be brutally honest in their feedback because I'm still not sure whether the app is as good as it could be. So I have downloaded 20 years of all of my brand messaging and conversion copy training and knowledge into a knowledge base in an AI app, and people can submit their website pages to that app and it will give you a really comprehensive, very thorough report into what is working and what is not from a conversion point of view on your website. So that is...
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's conversioncopy.app. And if any of your listeners would like to access 10 free pages, they just need to enter the code STEPH at checkout, and it can scan, 10 pages of their website and give them a comprehensive audit of each of those pages from a conversion copy point of view.
And I can do that too, I presume.
You can,
Great.
indeed.
I will be doing that this weekend. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I've just started a coaching business, and I have not had time to sit and look at my website, and I'm sure you hear that a lot, but I've just been recording back-to-back episodes, and I'm like, but funnily enough, I don't record all through July because Mercury is in retrograde and it stuffs up communication and technology, and I would never risk that with my VIP guests. So that will be my downtime of working on the back end of things. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But this episode will probably be airing by that time, to be honest. And one last thing before we do jump in, just on the topic of AI, it's like everything in the world, politics, environment, it's very divisive, and it's very, I'm always seeing points from both sides. I don't believe in being very black and white. I'm sort of open to learning new things all the time, but especially with females, because of the Reese Witherspoon post about women should get into it, or Mel Robbins. And I understand, writers feeling let down, or I understand that Mel Robbins has, I think, some sort of financial interest in something backing AI. So I understand why people are looking into it, but I don't like people attacking celebrities for having an opinion. I love Reese. So can I just quickly ask
attack all the other billionaires, but not my Reese.
Reese, she's always been there for us, Stacey.
Wand.
No, I like her later stuff. I like the book club and all that. But look, what's your take on AI?
I think it's useful to separate out a small language model from a large language model. So what most people have concerns with are large language models, which scrape everything from the internet. Okay. And, there's all this copyright issues. A small language model is a knowledge base that an individual creates for the purposes of their own customer base. So the app that I have created, it, at full transparency, there is an element of LLM to my app, but the knowledge base is actually my own. So it's essentially a small language model, and we've been using those for decades. Grammarly is a small language model. The other thing I think it's worth thinking about is that the big data centers that are in production at the moment, which are data centers just generally, again, full transparency. I'm not trying to claim that it's super ethical in any, but the data centers that are being produced created at the moment are mainly for surveillance and for analyzing our data. It's not helping you write your emails. It's not for
I did not know.
They're not for AI slop. That capacity currently exists.
Because the things I've seen out of the US of the water pressure being down, brown water coming out of the tap, honestly, I don't watch the news at the best of times, but I'm like, I just feel like you can't win. You can't do anything right. And it's like I was so morally opposed to AI when it first came out, purely because I've always been a creative. I used to do singing and songwriting, and my brother writes music for films, and I'm like, those jobs will go. And I just felt really betrayed by it. But I don't want to be left behind either. So as I said, I'm open. I see both sides, but the environmental impact is what stresses me out and keeps me up at night.
And I think the left behind messaging is in and of itself quite manipulative, because a lot of AI is a solution in need of a problem. Right? We've got all these billionaire tech barons who are kind of trying to push AI onto us that we never asked for, that isn't actually solving any of our problems. There is some good AI that will be useful, or it's currently useful, but the left behind messaging really grinds my gears.
Well, that's when people were against Reese and Mel Robbins, because and then were doing a lot of parody posts about, here I am being left behind. But the thing with me is I'm always like, outsource when it's something you can't do yourself. For writing, I would never, because I love writing. I want every piece of writing that I do to be in my voice and my tone. And, that's when people connect with my writing still probably more than the podcast, because it's really my authentic tone of voice. I mentioned it in another episode. I did a human design chart, and it is like I don't know, 50 to 100 pages long. It's absolute gibberish to me. And this is stuff that I'm interested in. I'm like, I don't understand the fucking word of this.
Yeah.
And I had it sitting there for months, always wanting to know what it meant. And I'm like, I'm just going to put this into AI. Within like 7 seconds, I had a full understanding of it that I'm able to help use me in my work. And I was like, okay, so to me, that was value added. That's something I just couldn't get my head around. It sat there for months.
That was a
problem.
problem.
But in terms of creative
to which
writing,
AI provided a solution. It wasn't a solution in need of a problem. Like that's, and that's, I guess, the app that's how I see it is it's not something that I have the capacity to provide my customers myself. I do a human roast, and people can upgrade to what I call a copy roast, where I sort of, roast their page. But that
I
takes
just
time.
saw that on your site. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it'll continue to divide us, I'm sure. But it's, again, I just want to be open to learning new things and learning more before I cast my judgments. Okay, let's jump into it. So many women are incredibly talented, experienced, and trustworthy, yet they still struggle to attract opportunities or clients. From my perspective, you can correct me if I'm way off there. Why do you think women in particular have such a hard time confidently communicating their value?
I think it's that and I don't want to make this too much, men and women are so different, because I think, in the world right now,
divisive.
Yes, but there is a biological reality for women where rejection from the in-group has greater consequences for us, deep in our kind of psyches than it does for men. And
why more for us?
Well, I guess because we carry babies and need protection in those moments of vulnerability, and our offspring need protection. And so, it's not been a long time since we were in caves, and so rejection from the in-group, we rely so heavily for our physical needs on the tribe. I think that we still carry this deep, that a lot of it is the way that we are brought up, and a lot of it is, our training. But some of it is this kind of deep physiological fear of hearing no, of being rejected from the in-group. That's just my personal opinion. I am no sociologist, but that's why I feel women are so afraid of selling themselves and being rejected. And the solution is just to really concentrate on the consequences of hearing no. So let's say you pitch for a job, the worst that can happen is a feeling. Somebody says no to you. That's it. And then you get to move on to the next pitch. And I think if women spent more time out of their heads and actually, with their journal in front of them, thinking, okay, I'm going to pitch for this. I'm going to ask. I'm going to sell. What's the worst that can happen? Well, they say no. And they could say no for any number of reasons. How many times in your life have you said no to something because your own finances weren't in a place to be able to...
It's not personal.
It's not personal. It's not a rejection of you or your knowledge, or it might be. And so what? That's just, again, just a feeling that you have to deal with. They might think that you're shit. Okay, it's just a feeling. The consequences of never asking, of never... are so much worse.
I love that so much. And I always say to people, what's the worst they can say? No, it's not that bad. And I really like what you said there. You've highlighted something I was talking about the other week, that most sports people, it seems unrelated, but hang in there. Most sports people will visualize the ending. They'll visualize them winning. Michael Phelps, who I think is the greatest swimmer of all time, stats-wise, he used to visualize things going wrong, so that when things do go wrong in life, so when they did come up, he was able to not panic and go, okay, so in my visualization, when this happened, I did this. Now, it's sort of the same thing, really. What you're saying is get comfortable in that uncomfortable, tap into that feeling of being told no. It's not that bad. And, as I said, I've always been in customer service where, I like to see people leave with a smile on their face that I've created a solution for them. And so when I started going out on the road doing sales to my husband, and you get way more no's than yeses, but it's not a no in the long run. It might be they have to think about it. They come back to us in a few months and they're like, yes, we'll take that business on. It just wasn't right then. But the feeling used to make me feel flat because I was so used to people giving me that. But I'm a recovering people pleaser. Right. So the pat on the head of, oh, you did a good job with customer service wasn't necessarily there with sales. But now it just doesn't impact me at all. I'm like, I know, like you said, they might not have the money right now. And then very often they're coming back to us later at a different time. So it's like I just get in their face. What they say, it's like 7 to 14 times to see a brand for it to register. So
and I think that's those are old stats. I've been hearing those stats for years. I think that's been pushed out, because we're so overwhelmed with messaging now. They need to hear us more.
Yes. Well, that's probably why people are posting so often on socials now. So I love what you said there so much.
For your listeners who are recovering people pleasers, I would offer an alternate thought as well. Because if you genuinely want the best for your customer, if that's your goal, that's your mission, is that your customer gets the best experience and they go with somebody else who gives them, I'm not the best copywriter in the world. I'm not Eugene Schwartz. Someone might go to another copywriter who might give them a better experience. And that's great because my mission is for them to have a really great website that converts really well, that gives them financial opportunities. So if the worst even if they never come back to you, even if they think you're terrible and they go on and they use somebody else and they have a great experience, well, that's okay too.
Yes.
There's so many customers in the world. There is enough to go around.
Yes. I love that. I say that all the time, but I just love how you're removing the emotion there. It's like, it's not personal. What's the worst thing that can happen? And it is. It's like that panicked feeling of, I won't be accepted. And I always say this, like rejection hurts, like with friend groups or colleagues, you're built to be part of the tribe for your survival. So it's normal. It's okay that you feel that, but it's sort of, reprogramming the mind, isn't it? That it's not about you.
And the objective isn't to never feel bad when someone rejects you. The objective is, because I still feel bad to this day. When someone says no or goes with a competitor, I feel rejected.
It's human.
Yeah. But the objective is to not let that stop me from keep making offers because that serves nobody.
Love that so much. What's that old saying? Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. I love it. I love tenacity. I just think it's very sexy, especially in a woman.
Yeah.
You talk about the difference between a visibility problem and an authority problem. I hear this a lot. Can you explain what that actually means and how someone can tell which one they really have?
They're stats. So they're for me, I'm a website copywriter. I will say how many people come to your website, and I always ask for access to their Google Analytics first. How many people are seeing your posts on LinkedIn or socials or whatever? If that is a good number, you don't have a visibility problem. But if no one is converting down the bottom of funnel, you have an authority problem. So I am never, there are people that I will never ever buy from, no matter how many times I see their advertising, because there's no values aligned or they're not offering something that I feel that I need.
Okay.
But if people are coming to your website and they're not converting, you haven't given them enough reason to believe that you can help them. So
because if they're visiting your website, they're interested in you, right?
Most of the time, that's because you haven't clearly articulated a clear point of view. You're blending into the competitive set because there's no reason for you to stand out. Yes. Or
do you think that's a confidence issue?
There's a few things that it could be. Some of my clients just treat their websites like a brochure, and they're like, well, if I just tell people what I do, they will come and, if they need me, they will come and utilize my services. And for some people, it's a confidence thing. They don't want to sell themselves. They don't want to be like, hey, I have these qualifications. I'm the best person for the job. And so there'll always be this, I'll be able to tell very quickly in the job which one of those problems that they have, because they'll resist me when we're in the briefing process and I'm like, oh my God, it's so clear to me that this is your point of view. This is so interesting. And they'll be like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. No, doesn't everybody think that? Nope, nope. That's your secret sauce. That's your zone of genius. That's a confidence thing. But if they're quite happy for me to go, oh yeah, I'm so clear that that's your secret sauce, and I'm going to put that in your copy, and they're like, yeah, sure. That's just they haven't thought about it.
Great. Yes. Lack of knowledge. That's why it's so helpful sometimes to have that third party to see things that you don't see. Because I always say I'm a creative. Like the numbers, the analytics, I shut down. My brain emotionally shuts down. So it's good to have someone to lean on for that. A lot of people think selling means being pushy or performative. How do you help people market themselves in a way that still feels authentic and aligned with who they are?
I ask them so we go through this process where, we do their features and benefits analysis, and we will get all their product features, all their own personal features, everything about them down into a spreadsheet down one column. And then we pull out all the functional, social, and emotional benefits of those things. And they get to see in black and white. These are all the ways that I help my customers. These are all the ways that I'm providing value. And once they see it in black and white, they tend to get over that resistance. Like they don't feel pushy anymore because we've put the benefits of what they're providing into the context of helping others. So you are like all of us, if you're not genuinely helping your customers, then you shouldn't be in business.
Yes.
But most of us are genuine. No one gets up in the morning and says, you know what I want to do? I want to give thousands of dollars to a copywriter. No one wants to do that. They want more sales on their website, right? So I help them, achieve what they want to achieve. I'm helping them. And that exercise gets them into that mindset where they really think, oh, these are all the ways that I actually help people. This is fantastic.
That's beautiful and a beautiful spin on it. So you're able to sort of focus on the why. Why did you start that business in the first place? And I always think that it's so obvious to me who really believes in what they're selling and who doesn't. Because, when someone really believes in what they got, they're just talking about it with so much passion because they know it's going to help people. Mm-hmm. So have you found that it depends on what the product is as well? Like, is it sometimes that?
I haven't encountered anybody who... Oh God! I mean, some men are pretty hard to like crack the shell, and they'll be like, oh, try to keep things very, very rational. But when you dig enough, and I am a nosy bitch, I will like when you dig enough and you get in there and you're like, look at this great thing
you need
do.
That.
Yeah, they do crack and they're like, yeah, actually, it's pretty cool. Like,
do you do the hair flick after it? I love that so much. Do you have are your clients like from all different industries? So like does every different industry come to you, or is there like a common?
I have worked with pretty much every industry, mainly because friends, who are in my like target industry will refer or whatever. My target audience is consultants and experts, coaches, those sorts of people, because I just love getting to that like unique point of view piece. I really love that. Yeah, but they tend to be from a broad variety of industries. I'm working with a lot of lawyers, leadership consultants, coaches, those sorts of people at the moment. I won't take on life coaches who I don't think are adding any genuine value. So I've got...
I love that.
There's some people I won't...
so you're standing behind your business then if you're only working at things you really believe in. Don't you fall asleep when you're talking to the lawyers though? I would really fall asleep. No, you can't say that.
It's funny though. It's funny. Not really, because once you crack the shell of, and lawyers are often a difficult nut to crack. Everybody has chosen their career path for a reason. Like there's a reason that someone is an environmental lawyer as opposed to a family lawyer, or a family lawyer as opposed to a commercial lawyer, or they're a leadership consultant as opposed to a marketing, So like when you get into the guts of their why, most of them have a great story to tell. And I'm yet to work with a client that I haven't found kind of cool.
I love that. Do you find your work very fulfilling, like seeing, because I like to have a purpose in life and I like to see that I'm adding value to someone's life. Do you feel very, when they tell you the results they've gotten, do you just feel an immense amount of satisfaction?
There's a lot of, because I am, I spent a lot of years in management. I'm like you, I'm a corporate escapee. So, there was a lot of years where I just kind of moved things around and I wasn't on the tools anymore. Like it is grunt work. Like having to, being a 44-year-old woman with kids, like finding the time to really focus and grind out copy can be very tedious. All of the stuff that you have to do to run a business, your account, that stuff can be tedious, right? Like it's not all fun and games, but there is this moment, which is the payoff for me, where we crack the secret sauce, where I'm like, oh, hold on, this is so, and you see them kind of light up and they get excited by the stuff. And often I'll deliver the copy and I immediately get this email saying, oh my God, I love it. And you just see, I love that I can help people see what they're great at, help them feel confident, and ultimately help them make money, because I grew up very poor and I had very few opportunities as like on paper. You would have thought I had very few opportunities, but, thanks to growing up in Australia and all the great things that Australia was able to provide me, I've been able to, because of access to opportunity, I've been able to live a life that fulfills me and, is greater than probably was on paper would have been expected of me. And I love to be able to provide people with opportunity. What they do with that is up to them, right? But I love the idea that they come to me with a problem, I get to help them solve that problem, and then that opens doors for them because people are really clear about what they do, who they work with, how they can help, and then they have more money, or they have speaking opportunities, or they think, oh, I really like that, I'm going to go write a book. That's the bit that I love. And then, of course, I love it when they come back to me and, we do a 3-month check-in where we'll look at their stats before we rewrote their copy and their stats afterwards. And, we can go back to them and say, hey, like, this is really, so there's a few moments amongst all the like, oh my God, I've got to get it right every single day. I'm back on the tools that really energize me and I get very excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same with the podcasting, even though I love editing, but I don't think people realize the hours. It's become a full-time job. I'm not kidding. Like the hours of you're finding the guests. I mean, a lot of them come to me, but a lot of them I have to find. You're researching about them. You're creating the questions. You're emailing back and forth, trying to book in the time. Then so people only see this part of it. And this is so the highlight of my week, getting to talk and connect with people, finally having a bra and makeup on because I work at home all the time. But then it's, the editing of the video, the editing of the audio, the cutting of the reels to put on socials. It is full on. But it's a nice balance. Like sometimes I like to sit with no bra and makeup and put my headphones on and just grind out the editing. Yep. And then I love this. It's a good balance because I would be drained if I talked to people 24/7. But what a beautiful little story there. Like that made me get that full body warmth, like hearing that you grew up, with not a lot of money or not a lot of opportunities. And here you are, gorgeous looking woman doing an amazing job. And you're such a boss lady at it, the way you speak about it, sitting in a beautiful home in Balmain in Sydney. I mean, like that, this is what I live for. I love seeing people get ahead. I love an underdog story. And and I just love seeing women succeed. But more than that, I love seeing people do what they love. And I love entrepreneurs. And it just makes me so excited because I think about my nan who just absolutely loathed going to work in, was it a paper factory or a glass factory? Just shitty things where people were slicing off fingers and she just hated it. I just thought, God, she deserves so much more. And what would she think of me doing this now for a living? Like the opportunities are endless at the moment. And you get scared of the data centers and that, but just the opportunities that we have now, it's just so exciting. And on that, with your clients, do you get a lot of like people like me, and yourself really, like mums who don't want to go back to the 9 to 5, so they're creating, like coaches.
Yeah. Right? And the first conversation I have with them is, don't do this because the hours are shorter. Please, you will be very disappointed.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's about the fulfilling
flexibility.
thing, right?
Yeah. So a lot, and that was my story. I was in corporate until I had my first baby, and then my husband was working up his job was Sydney based, but his team was up in China, and so he was back and forth to China all the time. And I just couldn't. My job had me traveling, and I just had this baby, and I was like, "Well, what's going to happen to you?"
Yeah, you're set up for failure.
And so ever since then, I've been grinding, trying to kind of keep this balance of being home for the kids, because I'm still home. I have managed to stay. I've had a kind of combination. My oldest is 14 now, so 14 years is a long time. But I, through it all, have managed to live my purpose, which is making, growing great boys. And it's such a short period of time that I've got them at home with me.
Oh, right. Do you cry when you see those things on Instagram where you've only got this many summers with them, this many, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to.
I hate them.
Because you're getting close to they're off to schoolies, they're off traveling with their friends. Yeah, you're
making my son's planning, he's already planning to go to scuba diving in Micronesia with his mates for schoolies, like.
What? Mate, what happened to Cavill Avenue and Surfers
I
Paradise, know. Right? Anything anymore? There were great clubs up there. I got great memories. But, like for my friends who mine's nearly 2, we're trying for the second, we're in the trenches, but I always keep saying, push through. We're going to get through. It's so quick. Like I'm looking at my son running around saying words and I'm like, I just brought you home from the hospital. What the fuck? It's so blink and you miss it. Then I'm like, we'll get through this and then we're going to have that beautiful time where they come home from school and tell you things about their life. So, it's full on. It's
all like there's, I say this to my friends who I've got a much younger sister. So my mum remarried and I've got a sister who's 15 years younger than me. And sometimes her friends will say things like, I just don't know. They're all turning 30 right now. I don't know whether to have children or not. And my answer to them is, I can't tell you because I don't think that kids have. I can't tell you how much joy they've brought me and how focused I am on my purpose, which is to grow great boys. I can't tell you the joy of that, but also the cost is it is a 50-50 coin flip. The cost is so great. But
do you know what I think?
I can't tell them.
You can't. And I, even pregnant, was still freaking out. Like, I was never a baby person. And I remember being in the shower with this big belly going, oh my God, it's happening now. It's too late to back out. And I just...
When I was giving birth, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. I'm going to be a mum in 10 minutes.
It's too late for condoms. Look, the second he landed on my chest, because I was always singing and doing performances, and I said, and it did impact that, and that is on pause at the moment. But I remember my husband saying, I think it's going to elevate your creativity and career, and it absolutely has. And I can't believe it has, because maternity leave made me realize that's it. I'm going out on my own with my business. I don't want to work for people anymore. But I often look at both. It depends on who you are, because I'm like, I still could have had a very good life not having children too. My husband and I had a great life. And someone who's been trying 7 months to have the second child, I'm like, you know what? No matter what happens, you're going to have a great life if you decide you're going to have a great life. But it is like when people used to tell me how rewarding having kids was, I'd actually get annoyed because I'm like, I don't want to hear it. It's not something you can hear from someone else. I think you just have to go through it. And I couldn't believe how much I slipped into the role with ease, how much I adored it, and how much other avenues of my life opened up once I met this little person. But God, I hated when people told me about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to. Like, I was back and forth. So to each their own. And I can understand, I was 41 when I had my first son. So I definitely, when they were 29, 30, I was not thinking about it. So they got to go live your best life now, girls.
Yeah.
No, I love that so much. I could talk on and on with other mums about stuff like that. You work with thought leaders and experts all day. What are the biggest mistakes highly intelligent or capable people make when talking about their work online?
They forget that they're running a business. I think these like very intelligent people can get a little bit head in the clouds and they forget to ask for the sale. I know that sounds so dumb and so basic, but they just forget to be like, "Oh, and I want to help you. And in order to do that, you need to buy from me." I've got one client at the moment and she will not be like concerned about me sharing this because like this is nothing I haven't said to her face and she laughs all the time about it. But she's got this podcast and it's a very, very niche podcast and it had like tens of thousands of views almost instantly. It was this, she still to this day does not have an ask on her podcast where she says, "This is how you can work with me," or "This is what I need from you," or "This is how I can help you." And
I only recently brought that in not long ago.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because, And the hilarious thing is, because she's so niche, her product is so tied to their needs. I'm like, they're obviously listening to you because they are desperate for your knowledge, right?
Isn't that the guilt thing again? Like you feel bad in asking?
Yeah. She feels bad. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, I just want to give. And I'm like,
yes,
bitch, you give by them joining your program because it's such an enriching.
You're not putting them out. You're adding value to their lives. And what I have realized time and time again, people are more than happy to pay for things that add value to their lives. And when you underprice, people don't think they're as valuable. Honestly, I'm learning that more and more. When I used to do singing gigs, I would feel guilty for asking, and people have a way to rip off performers and they're bringing people in and entertaining crowds. They're worth every cent. And when I just became unapologetically demanding of what my price was, people were very happy to pay it.
Yeah.
But I had a wonderful guest a few weeks ago, Mel Brown, money expert, and she was talking on the episode about how her partner, Lawsy, was like, "Oh, I hate how we're all about marketing at the moment." She goes, "Make no mistake, I am still here to make a profit." And I loved that line so much. That really hit home hard for me because we do struggle to ask, don't we?
Yeah. And I think it's because, again, we aren't marinating enough in the attitude of service. We aren't marinating enough we aren't giving ourselves enough credit for how much help we are providing our customers.
But I like asking for, the side projects, but I don't like when people pay for the podcast episodes, when it's like they make some free. It feels icky for me. Like it feels like Netflix, when Netflix brought in ads and it's like, you can stay on this price, but you got to watch ads, or you can, I always say they dangle the carrot. You can pay a little more and then there'll be no ads. So it feels like that with the podcast. I feel like, I don't know, because so many podcasts are free, I always want to keep that funnel as, this is my free service. If you want to work with me further, this is my paid service that 100%. Goes deeper. Yeah.
I do love a Patreon though. Patreon?
Yes.
Patreon? How do I pronounce that?
No, Patreon is correct, and I haven't done that. I have more to learn. I need to
a bonus episode for someone who's giving me lots of value, I will pay for that. So I think I'm probably signed up to 4 Patreon like bonus episode things.
Okay. See, that's good to hear. Because in my back of my head, I'm like, no one wants to do that, Steph. But people obviously do.
They don't have to. You're not forcing them to bed, right? Yes. Like. So if I really like listening to your podcast and then there is a whole other bonus episode where I get extra content, then that's my money and I'll do with it what I want, Steph. If I want to give it to you, I'm going to give it to you. Right?
We need to have a chat after the episode about my business. We need to talk. Okay. For someone listening who has a business, creative project, podcast, or personal brand, what's one practical thing they could do this week to instantly communicate more authority and confidence?
Ironically, it is to talk about the customer more. So there's this, and you'll see on my Instagram or my LinkedIn, I touch on this fairly regularly because it is one of the bits of content that I share that gets the most engagement. I get people to look at their website or their sales materials, their proposals, their marketing, whatever, and count how many times they say I or we or my or me. And contrast that with the number of times you say you, your, get, achieve, enjoy.
Oh, I love this.
And just compare them, because you can be so much more powerful by just flipping it to, I can help you sell coffee cups, to you will sell more coffee cups. It just flipping it to
that's a real light bulb moment, because what I hear a lot from guests in any area that we're talking about is that people really want to feel seen. So by changing that wording, you're making your customers feel more seen and making it less about you. Yes.
Because nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, I want to work with an expert or a consultant. Nobody. What they want is they want to achieve something for themselves.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Love that. That really, real big light bulb moment there. I love that. Turning it on the customer. That's great. Do you think women are often socially conditioned to make themselves more likable instead of more powerful? I touched on this a bit with myself. And is that hurting their ability to make money and be taken seriously?
Like, absolutely, 100%. And again, that's a totally rational thing for them to want, is to be liked. But there are all sorts of reasons that someone will like you. And they can like you because you're amenable and you bend over backwards and you do everything that you think that they want, which, girl, you don't know what they want. You are so up in your own head if you think that you can, like, you have the crystal ball and you know exactly what they want. So take yourself out of the equation, please. But you can be liked for being amenable, but you can also be liked for being useful or helpful.
Yes.
And I would just encourage anyone who is attempting to sell to another person to try to be liked for being useful as opposed to being amenable.
I would agree with that. And I think for women, we've been set up in society where it's not our fault, because we were told we need to smile more, we need to be likable, and when you see a man be demanding it, so he's got authority, but a woman's bossy, or there definitely is that difference of a narrative, and I'm not 100%
rational.
Yes, and I'm not even 100% blaming men for that, because a lot of women put those judgments on women as well.
Men are big victims of patriarchy as well. Like, they're not having a great time either. I don't know if you've noticed, but men aren't out there having the best time right now. None of us are winning.
No, I love that, because it takes the blame off the individual and puts it on the system. And that's really great, and that's why it's good to call for change. But I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what, just fuck it, because my tribe will like me when I'm just me, and there's always going to be people. Like I always say to myself, you might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you're some people's champagne. So, yeah. So I got to remove that being liked thing. And I think, I'm a lot closer than I used to be, but it is something ingrained in us a lot. And I think for sure that hurts our sales and feeling like we're going to, upset people, or, the men in my life are not like that. The older I've gotten, I'm just so much more confident in my own voice. Like, even if my husband and I are at home and we're doing sales and I'm going to make a call, he goes, do you want me to go in the other room? I'm like, no. Like, I'm so confident now. I will talk to anyone, anytime, because I believe in, what value I'm adding to people's lives. But I also, I don't know, I just trust my voice, and I didn't before. So,
And I think as you get older, you realize that you actually don't know as much as you think you do. So you don't know what they actually want. And it's exhausting to try to constantly predict what another person is thinking, or how they're going to behave, or it is so, like, aren't we just tired for that now? Aren't we just too tired? Like, they get to tell you, people get to say no to you. They get to tell you if you're annoying them, and that's okay. Just let them tell you what they need.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost comforting. It's freeing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and then you get to do the same in return, and everybody wins.
I love that.
It feels like I spent so much of my 20s being manipulative, trying to think about, how are they going to react, and how can I kind of manipulate this situation to my benefit? And now I'm just like, everybody's an adult.
Yes. So you think it's more upping the listening skills, like just listening to what people want and just being blunt and asking them, what do you want? How can I
What do you
add?
need?
Yeah, love that.
And being totally okay. If you've got this, this spirit of service, being totally okay with saying, I can't help you. And I've got these other people that can, or actually I just can't, and I'm sorry.
Listen, you can't be everything.
No.
And I always talk about this too, like of all the years and hours I've wasted trying to excel at everything when I could have just put all that energy into what I'm great at.
Yep.
It's like you don't have to be great at everything. It's okay to pass on to someone else. Yeah, love that advice so much. Stacey, this show is all about filling up our cups. So can you tell me what's something you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup?
I'm taking a week off. I book my clients in, so I can't work on more than one or two clients at a time because it is like creative work and I'm on the tools. So I block out weeks. And this week coming, I have no clients blocked into the week. I'm just going to catch up on my admin. I'm going to get my hair cut. I'm going to the mountains with my boys for the long weekend. Yeah, so that is how I am refilling my cup.
That is my dream week. I love that so much. I just had my hair done. For those watching on YouTube, I have had the regrowth to end all regrowth for months because I could not fit in a hair appointment, and just having a bit of blonde today, I was like, I feel so fresh. So much. And sitting there in the hair appointment, I was like, I just haven't relaxed like this for so long. So it was so great. Well, you enjoy that so much. Thank you so much for all the info you've added today. It's definitely something I was very interested in because it's very applicable to me, but I know so many in my audience as well. I do urge everyone to jump on the show notes and check them out, but please, and I'll have everything linked for you, Stacey, but can you repeat the offer that you had for my audience as well, please?
Okay, so it is conversioncopy.app, and they can, if they use code Steph, they will get 10 free pages. You just drop your URL in and it will give you, it will audit your page from a conversion copy perspective and tell you what can be improved.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm definitely going to be doing that this weekend. So again, thank you so much, Stacey. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And everyone, please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.